Here is my Ali Express haul. I received two packages about a day apart. I ordered them and they said they would be there probably about 3.5 weeks or so. It was being shipped from China. And instead, I got it probably within 2.5 weeks. So I was fine with that. I thought that was pretty cool. I was excited to get them. The prices were amazing. And I want to show you what I got and test a little bit of it with you. So my first order was for these two travel brushes. You know, I'm all about travel supplies lately. My husband and I have been RVing a lot, and I grabbed my little bag with all my smaller items. So I was intrigued with these. Plus, they were so reasonably priced. I paid $15 for both of them together. And one was like around 7, one was around 8, depending on the sizes. One thing kind of interesting is the sizes were different. The standard I'm using, by the way, right now, is I'm using the silver black velvet. That's my gold standard for a reasonably priced brush, good quality. It's a squirrel mix, and that's what this said. So I thought, let me test them out. So here is what they look like. They almost look like a quill brush. And you pop it in, and it has a nice little handle. I see that some of the hairs on the brush have bent back from the way that I put it back in after first testing it on that brush. Not so much on this brush. This one is a 6, and this one is a 10, but you know what? I put the wrong covers on, no wonder. So 6 and 10, maybe that's what caused the hair going back. I wasn't paying attention. They look like the same exact size from this part down, and they probably are. So they look a little bit like a quill. Here's a large quill to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. The way it's tied will tell you. Quill brush, some people call a mop brush. This happens to be a beautiful quill from Italy, a CindraLM brush. But at any rate, they're little small, like I said, squirrel mixes. I find that they were just beautiful, beautiful to paint with. By the way, before I put them back in the case, I put the shape of it back to the way it should be. And then I put the cover on carefully, and it seemed to be okay. So with that said, here is the 10. Here is my 10 with my silver black velvet. It's really not that far off. Has a little different shape. I'm gonna wet both of them. Has a little different shape in the point area. But from the side, actually, it's not that different, is it? Looking at it together. So the handle's nice. It feels comfortable in the hand. And for this demonstration, I think I'm going to just do a few little, let's say just petals. So I'm using a lot of water. I'm doing the light, heavy, and pull up again. So that is a petal. I'll put just a little bit more on, just for no other reason, but so that you can see it, because I like my petals very delicate and then build on them. So here is the first demo, and this is using Ali Express. This particular one is called Braelk, Braelk, and I'm rinsing it, putting it together, and putting the cover. And this time I'm making sure I put the correct cover. And we'll see if that makes a difference. So far, I'm impressed. Now I'm going to do the smaller one, which should look quite similar. Doesn't have quite as much water on it, so I'll remedy that. because I want a very watery kind of petal. So I wonder if I'm not putting enough. Yeah, I guess that was me. I was going to say maybe it's the brush and maybe it's me. So far I like this, but it might just be the size. I like these petals better, but this isn't bad. And since this is a size, what did I tell you? 6, I believe. Let me pull out my silver black velvet. And it's pretty similar. Let's just see what this looks like. So I think similar enough, along with the variables of how much water, I'd say similar enough. So there you go. That passed the test. It felt good in the hand. I'm rinsing, dabbing up excess, reshaping it, and carefully putting it in. And as you can see, I'm not dragging on anything. So for $15, these 2 brushes passed the test. By the way, that included shipping. So you really, really can't go wrong with that. My next shipment was 2 days later, and I got it just 1 day between. And it's called Art Secret. And this one from Ali Express is a size 18, and this one is a size 8. Now this is supposed to be a squirrel brush, a full squirrel, not just a blend. And, you know, if I'm going to go to a full natural brush, I do prefer squirrel. I feel like it handles well, retains your water and your paint very well on the brush. You're not dipping in all the time. So I got these 2. I got the 18 simply because I don't have an 18 round. My highest round is 14, and you can see the difference. Let me wet this one also so you can see. So there's the difference between the 14 and 18, which I think is legitimate difference, this being the silver black velvet. I would say it's more similar probably to my quill brush that I told you about earlier, my Italian quill brush that I ordered from Jackson's Art, which if you're not up on Jackson's, they have amazing supplies, brushes, paints, you name it. Anyway, this is the 18, and this one, I'll wet this as well. This one is their 8, and here it is compared to my other 8. What I noticed right away, and this is the silver black velvet, you'll notice that they look like it. I don't know which one came first, but they do look like with that silver band. And this is supposed to be 100% squirrel. This is a squirrel mix. The tip is very nice, and it comes to, you can see it on this one, it comes to a nice tip after a round belly, but it's not as clean or sharp a tip as either the quill or any of the silver black velvets. So it is a nice tip, but the belly is a little rounder and fuller. And again, these are 100% squirrel. Now the price on these, let me see if I can find it real quick for you, because I did write it down. These are called round squirrel hair watercolor paintbrushes, professional. And it was $8.40 for this 8, which you got to admit it's nothing short of remarkable. And then for the 18, it was $12.58, so under $13 for that. So yeah, so pretty remarkable. It feels good. It's a flatter and matte feeling compared to the shine, if you can see the difference. And it's a longer brush. It's not as long as some of my really long brushes, such as this one. Let me pull back a minute. So it's not as long as my long brushes, like this one, this flat one, which is a Creative Mark flat brush, but it's also longer if they're side by side. Here's my silver black velvet on the right, and here's this one. So let's try. Same thing. I'm doing the exact same paint, color, strokes, everything else. This is not that this is the end all. You know, one could be better at other things than the other, but still, I'm just trying to show the same thing. So I'm going light, press down, and pull up. Going to get a little more water. These can take a lot. This has a lot of water now. Press down, pull up. So there is kind of like a leaf or a petal. And it feels good. Still playing with it. I guess I'll do another one to give it a fair shot. So there you go. There is an 18. So you can still get a certain amount of quality. It almost feels like it would be similar to a mop and really laying down maybe a wash or a glaze or a background area. Really feels good in that area. I can tell that it just has such a quality, and it does feel like it's 100% squirrel. So I'm going to assume that was correct. Here's now my 8. Same rose madder quin. Press down, press out. And that feels good too. So there you go. And yes, this feels definitely 100% squirrel. There's tons of water on it. It's very malleable. It's very saturated. It feels like a very, very quality brush. And again, the price for it is, I'm turning my head, hope you can hear me fine, $8.40. Now, I didn't pay shipping for either of the 2 orders. The first 2 didn't require shipping, it was free shipping. And the second group that I got, that I'll finish telling you about in a minute, you had to have a minimum of a certain price. And I'm sorry, I can't quite remember. My first order of the 2 brushes was $15 total, included shipping all the way across the world. And yes, you can relax and just know it's not going to come like Amazon, but that price sure makes it worth it. And my second haul that came a couple days later, that was $17.98. But I got a lot more than that, and it did meet my minimum. So moving along, I got a couple bits of paper. This is the Montval. This is cellulose, like the other Canson. And so it's not like your best paper known to mankind, you know, that's made out of wood pulp versus 100% cotton, which is considered the standard. But it was such a good price. And I just thought, hey, you can always use it. For these 12 sheets, looking, please hold. Let's see, how much did I pay for this? I printed the paper and I see that that was not included. I'm so sorry. But it was a really good price for these 12 sheets. So you can look it up if you want. Ali Express, like Alibaba, aliexpress.com. So I got this because it was a good price. Darn for me not noticing that I didn't print it. I'm looking one more time so that I'm making sure I didn't miss out in it. Nope. Oh, well, sorry about that, guys. And then the next thing that I got, I don't know what it is, but I have a thing for round watercolor paper. I love it for a stationery, just to lay a few little pretty flowers on the top. I love it for a collage of florals. I really like round watercolor paper. My problem is the way that it is sent to me in, there was a bug, sorry, in a block. it's hard to get off no matter what you use, whether you use a palette knife, a steak knife, a scissors edge. I have something that comes with the Maven that I could use. It's hard to take off. And this brand really was so hard, I even had to rip it off. And it's beautiful paper, both of them are. I love to paint on them, but this is a little bit easier. I still had a few problems, as you can see. I used a palette knife with this one, but I don't know what it is, guys. If anyone's listening to me that manufactures round watercolor, I'm looking for where I get in. There it is. It's like maybe an inch right here to get in. I don't know what it is. Maybe use a different glue, sealing it in all the way. I would be nervous to paint and feel really happy with painting on this pad and block and then remove it. I would have to remove it first, which then kind of takes away the whole reason that you would have a block. But anyway, it was a great price. Again, I'm sorry I don't have this page to tell you about it. Guess what? I think I found this. I think the Canson, let me go back to this. I think this one was $11.88. I think so. Don't hold me to it. No, excuse me. Don't you love hanging out with me while I figure this out? This was $11.88. And there's quite a few. I'm not sure, but it is, this one is 100% cotton, 140 pound. It's nice. I like it a lot. So this one was under $12. And again, I can't read Chinese, so I don't know how many are on here, but it looks to me like it's around 20. That's what my guess would be. So there you go. That's my story. Let's just see. I still don't see this one. Oh, wow. Let's move right along. So now let's talk about this cool little thing. Hello. How adorable this is. This little packet, there's 12 designs in it, was $8.45. It's 100% cotton paper, Balhong, which is the maiden. And it's like, they call it a manuscript coloring paper draft blank. So take your pick of which words you want. But what's adorable with this, for those of us that love playing around in anything, is it's almost like a line drawing that's ready to go. And I thought it was so adorable. And again, for that price of $8.41 for all 12 of these. And let me show you how cute they are. Are you ready? Here are the different looks. They're almost like children's story illustrations, don't you think? So they consider these, well, I don't know what they consider these. They're just a draft. So I was going to say maybe they consider these postcards, but no. And you'd never want to send it, even with plastic. It's just too precious. Look how cute this is. Do you not love it? And it's interesting. Everything is in Chinese on the paperwork and getting it, including the description right here and an example of it. And yet, either the signs are in English. Is that English? No, that almost looks French. Or they're both. This looks English. For me, Hoffer or cafe. I'm not sure. Sorry for those of you watching from another country. Do a post for me and tell me what the translation is. And then there's Chinese on top. So they're just too cute. Some are vertical, some are horizontal in their orientation. They're extremely detailed. They're the kind of thing, and again, there's Chinese here and maybe Italian. So cute. So I love these. I haven't done anything. Those of you that are cat lovers, They have several that look like little cats, little activity going on. I just love the look and the fun. Here's the other cat one. So he's always crawling on the roof. And this one has little children in it, those little old-fashioned ones. This one has a bicycle. Anyway, just thought I'd show you. And again, this is nice quality cotton paper. When you're in the mood to just do little washes and little details, how cute would that be? That would be just beyond adorable. Maybe real quick, I will take their number 8, their Art Secret number 8, go into sap green, and just do a little bit of a wash. I'm just jiggling onto it, and I'm purposely trying to, even with this first coat, have different values of dark and light, just to give you an idea of what it would look like. So there you go. That's my first layer. Yes, I'll finish this for you, this little bush here. I'll finish it a little lighter. I still haven't re-dipped in, by the way. Do you notice that? Which means it's still loaded with the paint. And again, this is one of their brushes. So yay for that. So there you go. There's that one. And that's how you would go through it. Here's the side view of it. And I just think it's as cute as it can possibly be. And you could make some adorable little things out of it. And also you could be inspired of what to do next for your ink and wash or line and wash, however you refer to it, for your ideas, because they're all just very cleverly made. I really like this. Price you can't beat. My goodness, $8.45 for all 12. The paper alone's worth it if you just use the back. Very cute. I really like it. So that is that. Now back to my haul. The other thing I got, and I think this is the last for this order, so let me just show you this. I've never heard of this brand. Maybe it's popular other places in the world, but it's new to me. And it looks like martini, but it's Martini, Martini. And this is number 423. And I saw maybe 4 or 5 skin tones. This is considered their skin tone line. And I was intrigued with it. It was $9.97. And it looks like, yeah, it's a 15 ml. So a nice one. And it's so funny because I just recently, I got this 2 days ago. And yesterday I painted this little girl looking out the window into rain. And when I paint children, a lot of times I like to put a pinkish undertone. And so I still have my mix here. My mix, by the way, is yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, just a teeny touch of brown. I usually use burnt umber. And then if they're children and I wanted a little bit more pinkish young, then my secret sauce is to put opera pink, just a little bit of opera pink. So I have several of the mixes. Here's the darker brown. Here it is a little oranger. Here's where it was a little pinker. But I thought it might be fun to compare this. I'll just pull some off it. Since I see a little trying to come out of the cover. So there, I just dragged from the top. And again, I'm going to use my 8 because I must tell you, I'm so far impressed with Art Secret brand number 8. This is the round. This is a full 100% squirrel brush. So I'm just going to dip into the water a little bit. And I haven't had really a chance to test it out. What it reminds me texture-wise is if any of you paint portraits, One little secret, if you need to smooth the complexion a little bit, is to use Jean Brilliant #1, made by Holbein. And this kind of reminds me of that same texture. It has a little bit of a gouache feel to it, as opposed to watercolor, which is what I used on her, strictly watercolor, which is a little bit more luminescent. But I like it, and it's smooth as silk, including because of this brush. Usually by now, it should be trying to leave some watermarks as I'm playing with it. So far, I'm impressed, and I'm impressed with the color. Now I'm going to go in, and I'll see if it clouds my water. That will give me another idea if there's some white gouache in it, which is what I suspect. I'm going to go over here. Try to get some of my pinky area. Might need a little dab more of the opera pink. Opera pink, my goodness, let me count the ways I love you. I went too far, so I'm trying to calm it down over here. All right, so here is my general mix. And here it is, again, using the same brush. Here is my watercolor. Now you can see it's going to act differently because it's watercolor. And yes, you could put streaks very easily, which is typical when I'm using straight watercolor for skin tone. So I'm always careful not to keep playing in it as it's drying. But you can see the difference. This one definitely is the Martini 423. It's definitely a very smooth consistency. And this one is not as smooth, but again, watercolor by itself just has that luminosity when it dries, and you just can't get around the beauty of why we like watercolor. But there you go. They're actually pretty similar in the mix I use for babies, for young children. I just like to have a little bit of a pink glow. When I get into adults, I don't. When I do a Santa, I might put a little pink for that rosiness on him. And sometimes older people too, older ladies that have little pinky, cheeks and nose. And so I might add that. So anyway, now you know what I know. Alibaba, you may have heard of, that's the parent company. And Alibaba has an interesting story. I first heard about it reading about the CEO creator and his wife and how they put together this company to kind of have a wholesaler mentality of products from around the world. You do have to buy them in wholesale lots. So then Ali Express came along, and you can buy one thing at a time or very small amounts. And they have all kinds of stuff. I'm not affiliated with them. Although if they want to give me a kickback and they're listening, hello, I'm Cindra. But I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just like you. I like to try out new places and new things. And the price sure was right with all of these products. So I'm impressed with their brushes that I've had so far. I'm impressed with this quality paint. I would definitely use it at times. And I'm impressed with their prices on everything I've gotten. So I'm going to give them a 2 thumbs up. And I'm going to just say that I think they're good to know about, and they're good to play with. And if you're in a position where you can buy more than your basic supplies, and if you're brand new with watercolor, I hope you'll click subscribe so you keep up on things. And I also hope you consider going to my Patreon. Patreon means you're a patron of me and you support me in my endeavors. And in return, I give you all kinds of wonderful tips and tricks and tutorials. I start with a $3 just to help me out as I help others out. If somebody wants watercolor and they just can't afford it, I'll do everything I can to keep them in that, because the world's a crazy world and we need to have peaceful hobbies and outlets to engage that creative part of our brain so that we can just have moments where we think of nothing but just making lovely art, right? So anyway, patreon.com/Cindra. I recommend if you're fairly new to watercolor or brand spanking, brand new me, consider joining for $8 a month and cancel anytime. Do 1 month and cancel if you want. I have a dozen, I think it's a dozen, maybe 13, I'm not sure. And I keep adding more, about 4 every month minimum, of tips and tricks and which supplies to get that are your basics. These are extras. These are fun to check out because art and watercolor, you never get bored. There's always something new to learn and new things. But if you want to just find the basics and learn how to do beautiful flowers and beautiful beach scenes and just all kinds of fun things that are user-friendly and beginner-friendly, that's the place to go, patreon.com/Cindra. Anyway, hope this was helpful. I am a believer in Ali Express or AliExpress, and I recommend them for what it's worth. I'm a happy camper. Bye-bye. Have a good day.